You lived in Rexburg, right?
Yeah, I went to Rick's College. My parents both were from there.
Wait, and the Barris Concert Hall.
It's my grandma.
It's your grandmother. I like to establish the Mormonness of the people that I'm talking
I'm
to.
super Mormon. I am super Mormon. Yeah, no, I went to Rick's College for 2 years, and then I went to BYU. So I lived in both Meccas, the Idaho Mecca and the BYU Mecca, the Utah Mecca. Like, I was one of those people who, like, sort of always flirted with it and sort of had these pseudo relationships that weren't really relationships, but they were sort of, you know, something was going on for sure.
Like, it wasn't sexual, but it was like...
It was maybe bordering on sexual.
Right, but it was like, it's almost like, if it was like, for me, it was like you're in denial, like, this isn't a relationship, I just really am into this person.
Yeah, well, yeah, and I mean, that was my high school for sure. Like, my high school was all about, like, my best friend, I just love him so much. I would just do anything for them. And then you get jealous of, actually, my high school prom, I was just with this friend of mine, like, a couple weeks ago. My sister and I went to, double dated for high school prom, because she was a year younger than I was. And she went with my best friend, and I went with her best friend. And my sister and my best friend really hit it off in prom, and my whole prom, it's so embarrassing.
Oh no.
I just sulked the whole time. Oh. I couldn't really say anything, but and everybody would be like, "Are you okay? What's wrong?" And I was like, "No, really, everything's fine." But I was so jealous of my sister. I don't think I ever really understood what being gay was for the longest time, even though I knew that deep down that I was. I think I didn't know enough people who were out and gay to sort of associate myself with that. Like, we were living in the day of, like, you know, you didn't see it on TV, you didn't really, and so I knew that I was attracted to men, but I didn't think I was gay for some reason. It sounds stupid to say.
No, it doesn't.
So, and also because I was in the church, I think I felt like it was more of a sickness or a disease or something that I could overcome or that I had to overcome. So, and people who were out and flamboyant and all that kind of stuff just seemed like that's not what I was, but I knew that I was something, but I wasn't that.
Right.
You know? So it took a long time, an embarrassingly long time, for me to figure out that I was what everybody called gay. There was a kid in high school that there was nobody out in my high school in Minnesota where I grew up, but there was a kid who, after he graduated, the big word was that he was gay, and I remember being creeped out by it. Like, I was like, what? That's so creepy. Even though I was, you know, so it just took me a long time to figure out exactly what my condition was supposed to be called, you know. It really wasn't until, I think, fully, sometime during the time that I was married to my ex-wife, that I sort of was able to say, yeah, I think I am gay. This is not something that I'm going to overcome. This is not something that, if I go to the temple enough times, that read the Book of Mormon every day, that it's all going to sort of go away. And the closest I ever got to sort of talking to anybody or priest or leader was my dad. And I had a good friend who, I mean, for all intents and purposes, we were boyfriends, really. Even though we never had sex, or it wasn't like that, but we were together always. We were best friends, but it was more than that, and it was mutual. And we kissed and we did some stuff, but I mean, it wasn't full on. But one night we were just talking about it. We just felt so guilty, and so we were actually he was living with my family at the time because my dad was teaching at BYU, and so we called my dad down. We need to talk to you about something, and we both sat there and told him what was going on. And he was just so lovely. He was so great, my dad. Um, he was loving and kind, and to the best extent, based on the knowledge that he had, he tried to counsel us, and um, I think he felt that if I did all the right things in terms of the Mormon Church, and then found a woman who I fell in love with, that everything would just sort of fall into place. And that's the best. I think that's the best he knew at the time. But he was so great. He was so great. And then it was right around that time that I was really wrestling with, I want to be good. I want to do the right thing. I want to feel good about myself. And so for me, that took the form of deciding to go on a mission at 21, and putting all of that experimentation away. And I did, and it was tough because, like I say, there was somebody who I really cared about a lot, and who really cared about me, and that was it was tough to let that go, but I did. I just went, I'm done. I put in my mission papers. I talked to my bishop and obviously told my bishop everything that was going on, which was a worrisome conversation, because I sort of was wondering if they were going to let me go. But this particular bishop, it ends up being random, sometimes. But this particular bishop was fine, and so I went on a mission, and all through my mission, I have a lot of people who aren't Mormon who'll say, that mission must have been so homoerotic, and you're with guys all the time, and it wasn't like that for me. Like I turned a switch in my brain where I just put that all, buried it, and I loved my mission. It was great, and I came home, and I was just feeling happy and good, and like I was doing the right thing, and got married, and then it was in the process of being married that I think I figured out a lot of the realities of what it meant to be gay. I didn't know before I got married. I really loved my ex-wife, and we had a really good marriage in a lot of ways, but there were just some things that I thought I could that I had never experienced in a relationship with a woman, and it wasn't about sex necessarily. It wasn't like we didn't have sex, and it wasn't that I didn't enjoy sex. It was never something that I really wanted. I don't want to talk too much about
right.
Personal stuff that is personal to other people, but I couldn't have known what it would be, what it would have been like to be married to a woman and be gay until I actually was. And I sort of do regret that. I don't like to think I have regrets in my life, but I sort of regret that for her sake, and for my sake as well.